we have this dramatic video of Foreign Minister of Ukraine, Dmytro Kuleba, speaking from in front of Mahatma Gandhi's statue in Kyiv and announcing his visit to India, his first one since the war broke out between Ukraine and Russia, after Russia launched that special military operation 2 years back.
Today, India celebrates Holi, the most beautiful and colorful spring holiday. I want to wish everyone a happy Holi. Holi ki shubh kamnaye. Standing here in Kiev, in front of Mahatma Gandhi's monument, I'm pleased to announce that this week I will pay my first ever visit to India. A few days ago, President Zelenskyy spoke with Prime Minister Modi. My visit will further strengthen our relations. Ukraine and India are two big democracies. I'm certain we are set to be good partners and friends. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, the great Mahatma, was one of the most prominent figures of the 20th century. His ideal and final goal were freedom and independence. And this is exactly what Ukrainians are fighting for today: freedom and independence. When Mahatma began his struggle, there were very few optimists who believed in him. But he persisted and achieved his high goals. His life remains an inspiration for the whole world. When Ukraine faced Russia's full-scale invasion 2 years ago, very few people believed we would survive. But we persisted, and we will succeed in defending our freedom and independence. According to Gandhi, the future depends on what we do in the present. Hence, supporting Ukraine today means supporting freedom and independence, supporting the legacy of the great Mahatma. I believe we can lay a solid foundation for the future of our mutually beneficial relations. Dear Indian friends, I look forward to seeing you this week in New Delhi.
Now, it's very interesting because just last week, Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke to President Putin, congratulating him for his 6th victory on the trot as President of Russia. And the next day of that phone conversation with President Putin, he spoke to President Zelenskyy. Now, that does not happen with many world leaders today, that one day you speak to President Putin, next day you speak to President Zelenskyy. None of the leaders in the West can do it, most likely even the Chinese can't. That really puts us, India, in a very special position. And the reason is that we have for long practiced non-alignment. Also, we have come out as a Vishwa Mitra, as the Prime Minister says, friend of the world, friend of everyone in the world. And that's the reason why, for example, Prime Minister could sit in front of President Putin, look him in the eye and say, this is not an era of wars. And then he could speak to President Zelenskyy and promise humanitarian aid. And the reason why we do it is because we look at geopolitics with compassion and this spirit of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is one family, between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar. India's position as friend of the world has really sort of solidified over the last few years, leading to a situation where you can speak to President Putin one day, speak to President Zelenskyy another day, and then you can be on the high table like G20 with world leaders really commending India's role in keeping tempers down. So this is how it's really panning out. It's interesting that while on the one hand we have West not able to find a workable solution for this crisis in Europe, and in fact what has happened in Europe over the last 2 years has led to a dominoes in terms of supply chain disruptions around the world. It has led to an energy crisis which is almost becoming sustainable, and that's not good for the world. And in that situation and scenario, for having a country which can be leaned upon, banged upon for better counsel to prevail, speaks volumes about the manner in which India has been positioned under Prime Minister Narendra Modi over the last few years, leading to a situation where we have the Foreign Minister of Ukraine coming. And though of course speaking from in front of Mahatma Gandhi's statue, perhaps he was trying to send a little moralistic or moralizing message that maybe we should be helping Ukraine more. But remember, as External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar said, Europe has to stop behaving as if Europe's problems are world's problems. They have to be able to have the statesmanship from amongst the European community to be able to solve this problem. They cannot be expanding NATO year after year. The Cold War ended in early 90s, and still you continue to expand NATO. NATO was formed because of the Cold War situation. When it has ended, you can't continue to expand NATO. That's if Foreign Minister Kuleba was sort of trying to give a moralizing picture from standing in front of Mahatma Gandhi, then that's the real moralizing picture. But obviously, that's for Europe to handle. But wherever India can come in and help, for example, in terms of humanitarian aid, we are giving to Ukraine, maybe more of it can be given. And remember, when the war began, a call from Prime Minister Modi to President Putin helped the war to take a hiatus so that Indian community, particularly the students in the eastern part of Ukraine who were stuck, they could be evacuated safely. So that's really just one example of how our diplomacy has worked, how our standing and stature has improved over the last few years. And we have a situation where both Ukraine and Russia listen to us, speak to us within a span of 24 hours. And in fact, President Zelenskyy, when he wanted to reach out to the world, the first international interview he gave was to Republic Media Network, your network, when Editor-in-Chief Arnab Goswami spoke to President Zelenskyy for over an hour. If you want to understand what it really means and why Zelenskyy tapped your Republic Media Network when he wanted to make an international outreach, have a look and listen in to that interview between President Zelenskyy and Arnab Goswami.
Would a meeting between you and President Putin need mediators, external mediators like last time?
Currently, there is no mediation. Currently, we are interested in the security guarantors, and we can see leading countries among those security guarantees, those who can provide us with some security guarantees. We didn't have them in the past, unfortunately, but I am sure that we will have them in future. Among the security guarantees, there could be United States, UK, Poland, Germany, France, and we're offering China to be a security guarantee. We're offering Turkey to be security guarantor as well. And I think India, if there will be a willingness to join the list of the security guarantors for Ukraine, then of course we would be happy to invite India, because India is a very powerful state in the world. Speaking on the Normandy format,